Class 10, Chapter number 1, Chemical Reactions and Equations, Part 2. Now we will study the most important part of chapter, that is types of chemical reactions. There are 5 types of the reactions. First reaction is the combination reactions. Two or more than two atoms or substances combines to form a new only one substance in a combination reaction. Some of the combination reactions are exothermic in nature. For example, carbon atom reacts with oxygen gas, forms CO2. Hydrogen gas combines with oxygen, forms water. Dear students, second reaction is the decomposition reaction. A single compound breaks down into two or more than two substances by absorbing heat, otherwise falling sunlight, or passing the electricity. It is the endothermic reaction. Dear student, when we pass the electricity through the water molecule, it breaks down into hydrogen and oxygen gas, which get collected at cathode and anode electrode respectively by 2:1 volume ratio and 1:8 mass ratio. Do you know thermal means heat? On heating, single substance like the calcium carbonate breaks into calcium oxide and CO2 gas. Another example is the white color lead nitrate breaks into the yellow colored lead oxide residue. It releases the brown color NO2 gas with the oxygen gas. See, this is the photochemical reaction. One of the substance breaks down into two or more than two substances in presence of the sunlight. Like as a silver bromide breaks into silver and bromine ions in presence of the sunlight. It is a photochemical reaction. This is the metal reactivity series. Dear students, in this reactivity series, metals are arranged in the decreasing order of their reactivity. You observe carefully, highly reactive potassium is placed at the topmost place and less reactive gold at the bottom of the series. In a displacement reaction, highly reactive metal replaces less reactive metal ions from its salt solution. For example, zinc replaces copper ions from its salt solution. Another example, that is iron replaces less reactive copper ions from the copper sulfate solution. So blue colored copper sulfate solution turns into the ferrous sulfate solution. It is also called as a simple displacement reaction. Now we will study the double displacement reaction. As like as a single or simple displacement reaction, both reactive metal ions replaces each other into their salt solution and forms PPT, hence called as precipitation and neutralization reaction. For example, reactive sodium ion replaces barium ion from its salt solution and forms barium sulfate white precipitate with the sodium chloride. Here we will study the precipitation reaction. What is the precipitation reaction? How it gets formed? Dear students, when cation reacts with anions, forms insoluble colloidal solution, that is the precipitate. For example, silver nitrate solution is combined with the sodium chloride, forms white colored silver chloride precipitate with sodium nitrate solution. Oh, this reaction everyone knows. When acid reacts with base, forms salt and water. What it is called? Have you reminded? Yes, this is neutralization reaction. The best example is when hydrochloric acid reacts with sodium hydroxide, forms sodium chloride and water. Now, just to do quick recap with a keen reading. This reaction also you knows when heat or light is released from the reaction, that reaction is known as exothermic reaction. It is opposite to endothermic reaction. For example, when metal reacts with acid, it releases the amount of heat. Now you may understand that what is the endothermic reaction. In endothermic reaction, heat or light is absorbed. The well-known example is the photosynthesis reaction. In this reaction, plants prepare their own food on absorption of heat, that is the sunlight. Another example is the melting of ice. And one more example we can take, that is the dissolution of ammonium chloride in the water. Dear student, respiration is the exothermic reaction. In it, complex substances broken down into smaller substances by releasing heat. Then it converted into glucose. Now, we will learn the most important redox reaction, which is the combination of oxidation and reduction reaction. Addition of oxygen and removal of hydrogen takes place in the oxidation reaction. Paradoxically, removal of oxygen and addition of hydrogen takes place in the reduction reaction. Both oxidation and reduction reaction takes place simultaneously, called as a redox reaction. For example, ferric oxide get reduced by removal of oxygen and carbon monoxide get oxidized on addition of oxygen in the chemical reaction. Here we will understand the role of agents of oxidation and reduction. Oxidizing agents gives the oxygen to the another substances and it removes the hydrogen from it. The same way, reducing agents removes the oxygen atom from the substance and adds the hydrogen atom into the another one. Dear students, there are number of examples of oxidation reaction which takes place in our everyday life. One of the best example is the corrosion. Rusting of iron metal or oxidation of pure metal forms metal oxide. Corrosion damages the metal of bridge, railings, railway tracks, ships and number of iron articles. It can be prevented by painting, oiling, galvanizing, anodizing, chromoplating, electroplating and alloying. One more example of the oxidation, that is the rancidity. Rancidity means nothing but the oxidation of fats and oil, which changes its taste, odor, color and the nutrients of its. Rancidity can be prevented by vacuum packaging, use of inert gas or nitrogen gas or addition of the antioxidant like as a vitamin C, beta carotene or butylated hydroxyanisole or butylated hydroxytoluene into the food material. Now just go through the difference in between the reactions. Now just go through the important formulae. Thank you dear students and all the best.